Thank you so much for finding time to join us on another exciting edition of the Camnet TV Breakfast Show of today being the 27th of March 2023. I hope you're having a lovely morning. Like myself, I know being a Monday, people are hesitant, to wake up, do certain activities. But hey, get up. It's a Monday. It's a beautiful morning. And join us on our program this morning. I am your host, Miriam Kaimba, and in studio, I'm not alone. I'm joined by my beautiful colleague, Zippo Amshala, where we'll bring you nothing but the best in the next 1 hour. Zippo, how are you?
I'm sleepy, weekend mood, but I'm definitely going to wake up for the sake of our viewers there so that they too can be motivated to wake up and get the week started.
Exactly.
And actually at the end of March.
Mondays are I always find it difficult why people always complain about Mondays.
Maybe they should move the weekend to Saturday to Sunday, Monday.
To Sunday, Monday, then Tuesday we start our week.
I think so.
But anyway, it's a lovely week. We saw yesterday, people were very happy that our national team did, beat Lesotho there yesterday with a game on 2-0. It was quite a good game. It was quite a good game.
When was the last time Zambia actually won? Isn't it 2012? I hope we see better.
I hope we'll qualify to the Africa Cup, this time around, and win that cup. We'll bring it back to our motherland. We want to see that beautiful thing. Yeah, a lot of people have been so far, bring doubt and just doubt on our soccer team and calling for the resignation of the currently first president. But anyway, we have seen some improvement, and we are glad on that. Yeah.
Definitely. Anyway, today we do have some interesting topics for you at 8 hours. We are going to be talking about national affairs. We're going to be joined by the United Party for National Development National Deputy Youth Chairperson Trevor Mwinde, who's going to help us discuss various national matters. We have Miriam, for example, the issue of the ZNBC DG, whom the European youths want gone. We've got the upcoming by-elections in 3 wards on 20th April. We've got the upcoming Democracy Summit. We've got so many issues, really. And we also have, even just last week, we had some Patriotic Front MPs talking about the alleged rising cost of minimum. We don't know. But anyway, we have some interesting topics for you. So our phone lines will be open at that time. So just do join us. But just to start our day, let's take a look at what the doctors have for us here. Let's have the health corner.
Hi, good morning and welcome to the Health Corner here on the Breakfast Show. I am Dr. Nakubia Namfaya. So this month of March, we have been looking at conditions that are affecting women, and we've looked at so many conditions. We've looked at breast cancer, we've looked at fibroids, and we looked at cervical cancer. So this week, we are going to look at yet another topic that affects a lot of women, and it's a very common condition, and I'm sure some people might have this condition and they might not really know that they have this condition. So this week we're going to talk about polycystic ovarian syndrome. So I don't know if you've heard about it before, but polycystic ovarian syndrome is also known as PCOS. Is a condition where a woman would have irregular menses. So they would have what we call oligomenorrhea, which is irregularity in their menses, or they might have amenorrhea, which is where they don't have any menses at all. So oligomenorrhea can even be for just 2 months. So you might find that they have menses for 2 months and then they skip a month or so, or they might have, their periods might come only after 6 months or even 3 months. So it's not specific, so it can be any amount of time. So that's what we call oligomenorrhea. So most people who have PCOS would have this syndrome of having oligomenorrhea or amenorrhea, where they do not have regular menses. And then they would also have hyperandrogenism. So hyperandrogenism is a condition where you have excess male hormones such as testosterone. So your body tends to produce more of the hormones, the male hormones, and less of the estrogen hormone, which is the female hormones and the other female hormones that the brain also produces. So because of that, they might also usually have cysts in the ovaries. So the ovaries produce an ovum every month, and so once it produces a lot of these ovums and they form some cysts in the ovaries, they would usually call that as polycystic ovary. So they would have polycystic ovaries, and usually one ovary would even have up to 20 or more cysts. And so PCOS would be defined as somebody who has 20 or more cysts in one or both of the ovaries, and also has the oligomenorrhea with amenorrhea, and also has hyperandrogenism. So that is what PCOS is, or polycystic ovarian syndrome. So this week we'll look at some of the causes, what really happens, how does this condition come about, and we'll also look at the signs and symptoms. What can you see apart from the regular menses? What other symptoms do these people have that can show that somebody has polycystic ovarian syndrome? Then we'll also look at how it's diagnosed and treated, and then finally we'll look at the complications. So we need to understand what are some of the complications that these people might have, and how can we prevent those some of these complications from happening. So make sure that you watch every day, and make sure that you learn so that you can be able to share the information with your friends and your family as well. And if you missed any episodes on the Health Breakfast Show, you can always make sure you watch the videos on my YouTube channel, which is Dr. Nakubiya Namfaya Siameka, and don't forget to subscribe as well and share with your friends. So I'll see you again tomorrow. I do hope you have learned something. Stay blessed and stay healthy.
Quite interesting there. I'm sure it was a little bit of a complicated topic from the scientific terms, but I'm sure as the week goes on, we're going to get a breakdown of what that condition really is and how to deal with it. So I hope you did get one or two tips from there. Anyway, moving on, we take a look at how our kwacha is faring against major international convertibles. So we have the Great British Pound buying at 25 kwacha 16 way, selling at 26 kwacha 10 way. The United States dollar buying at 20 kwacha 94 way, selling at 21 kwacha 35 way. The euro buying at 22 kwacha 53 way, selling at 22 kwacha 97 way. The South African rand buying at 1 kwacha 15 way and selling at 1 kwacha 17 way. So our US dollar there is of interest. On the buying side, 20 kwacha 94 way, selling 21 kwacha 35 way. Miriam, your thoughts on the US dollar?
At 21, I have no comment.
Yeah, because on the selling side it's going to 22. On the buying side it's going to 21.
I have no comment. Only those who have dollars currently are enjoying.
I was actually surprised, Miriam. I don't know how really the dollar kwacha issue works, but you know, when I calculated using, when you Google and say dollar to kwacha, it shows you a higher amount.
Yeah.
But when you look at it in real life, it's less. I don't know what fundamentals are prevailing. For example, if you look at, let's say $300 on Google, it will tell you 6,800 something. But in real life at the bank, it will be 6,000 flat. So
it depends, maybe with the.
So is it good to have the dollar, or is it a bad thing?
Currently, with how the dollar is, it's very good to have a dollar. Yeah, it
means you're getting more.
You're getting more. Yeah, you're getting
a long time
even if you're getting paid in dollars, it's good because you're getting more. You know, when you change that dollar to kwacha, you're getting more. But then you on the kwacha, you are losing out. That's the sad part. And you know, with the way the dollar is, I don't know 2 weeks from now how the price of commodities are going to increase again, because we're coming to the end of this month.
We have 4 days remaining.
Yeah, only 4 days remaining, and it's very sad. It's very sad, and you know, I was very much hopeful that we would see some changes, improvement, but currently with how we are moving, Katwishi, but I'm still hopeful, Zipporah, that come maybe April, maybe June, we'll be able to see a stabilized economy.
Yeah, we do hope so. We only have 9 months remaining before 2023, comes to a close. But anyway, just now, let's just take a look at some of the stories that are making headlines. Miriam, on Saturday, we had a political story from Mandevu. So this is the boundary between Mandevu and Machero constituencies near Chifundo Market, where the youths there who are, they're carpenters, they make sofas, all these kitchen, units and everything. So they're accusing the area councillor, the Patriotic Front area councillor Lim Kupade of allegedly selling that land. So you would be interested to know that this land actually is not supposed to be for like any formal use, but then we're being told that he has found an investor to build a shopping mall. So now the youths there say they were given that land by the Ministry of Local Government to trade there temporarily because the market is full. I'm sure you've seen that market where they make all that furniture. So the market is full, so they're told you can sell here in the meantime, but don't build anything permanent because here there are water pipes, there's a Zesco substation, there's a drainage. So it's a buffer zone, like, it's a road reserve kind of. But then now they're saying this, they're alleging that this PF councillor, has come and he wants to build a shopping mall, Miriam, where there's a Zesco substation, drainages and water pipes. So anyway, it's quite, a sad issue, and we just hope that there'll be a way forward, because they said the Ministry of Local Government actually came on the ground and inspected, and they told them, no one is supposed to chase you here. We've seen you followed our rules. You've not put up any permanent structures. And so just trade here until, in the future, maybe when you start constructing the second dollar dual carriageway, then you can move. But then they're saying this councillor from nowhere has started, building a war fence and he wants to build a shopping mall there. And he's the contractor. That's quite interesting. Let's just take a look at that story, which we did on Saturday, 25th March 2023. And do join us in the conversation. Just now, we officially open our phone lines or leave us a message on Facebook. This is land bordering Mandevu and Machero constituencies opposite Chifundo Market in Lusaka, and is popularly known as the place where the Rising Youth Furniture Cooperative operate, crafting all sorts of furniture, as they have been here for years. This same land, which is a buffer zone, houses a drainage, Zesco substation, and water pipes, and is now in dispute, as the youth say they were allowed to trade here by the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development on condition that they do not make permanent structures and that they should be willing to move once the construction of the Lusaka Ndola dual carriageway begins. The youths now allege that Patriotic Front PF Muchingawa 28 Councillor Lee Mukupa, who is the area councillor, wants to prematurely displace them, alleging that he has sold the buffer zone land to an investor and is also acting as the contractor in the same deal. They have appealed to President Hakainde Hichilema to take an interest in the alleged illegalities happening.
Why we are here? Because of our market. That market is too small. And if you see them, even the display of one sofa, you can't display it. The shops we have inside the market, we only put one sofa, 2 sofas, because it's a small shops. So we're putting 2 sofas, 3 sofas. So at least when we have this land, we are able to show the customer the all sets we have.
We have said no to that. And we won't back down. We won't back down, and we won't move from this place until the Lord Reserve Agency and their program, which they want to start building the dual carriageway. We are fully aware of that. But they want to chase us like dogs, as though we are just scumbags. No, we are not. And we have said no. We shall die. If they want to kill us, they will kill us. Those drainages that they dig, they will bury us in there. They won't even build anything, but our bodies will be there. And we have told them, enough is enough.
We are earning and living through this. Yeah, so we urge, if the president can help us, I will send someone to come and look at this place. They see what's happening. Because he has even brought sand. He once started building something there. We've told that there's a offer on the table that they've given them 200,000 kwacha if us, he can move us from this place. And he's the one who's benefiting, not everyone.
Uku kumarket wantezosevenzera uku vezwana pwanya paja wapangapo roundabout waishita squeeze tinakamba na wa RDA kwamene mwachitira squeeze uku simungatipaseko apa so that na ife tizichitako trade ndipo nakamba tendani mkirineko paja muzichita trade kusevenza kai mkati mkumbuyo tipanga vintu mani mkomboni customer saviona. So that's why tinabuwa kuno kuloti. After buwa kuno kuloti tangara pano almost 5 years to 3 years. Penze mauzu, penzo fera wantu, tinakuwa niso clean pano. No ikagu tutike ka concrete, at least bazone kako smart. Or chita trade pari vintu, pamenti guri sipaone ka smart. But pamene vwena ngochinawa wawa, unamboka mbati, tichaya permanent instructor. Ufuno tisho sapo, utiwaikepo muntu mozi, but is permanent instructor. Nikashedi choti, at least vintu vatu vizone kako na smart.
Meanwhile, in a phone interview, Muchinga wa 28 Councillor Lee Mukupa says it is within the law.
No one should teach the right to you to say, I'm doing this, I'm conniving with you. With you, whom am I conniving with? Where is the letter from local government where they were told to be there? Madam, I've said that particular issue, I'm a contractor.
A contractor?
I'm not there as a civic leader. I'm there as a contractor.
Okay.
So if people want to build a mall and I'm a contractor, then people should start saying no, because I'm a councillor, I shouldn't do business. How? And that's a private business.
The youths have called for investigations, fearing displacement. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka. Quite an interesting story there, reports of alleged terrorism still going on there. But anyway, Miriam, when you're a journalist, you're not on any side.
Yeah.
So you report what the complainants are saying and what the accused is saying.
You get both sides.
Yeah, but I was surprised. Anyway, I did get the councillor, but she was very rude, acting like I'm also part of a beneficiary. I don't even know anything about that land.
No.
So madam, this and that, this and that, this and even cut my coat.
You get to understand, Zipporah, that in the field you meet different people. People, when they're caught in doing something which they don't want to be maybe published in the media, they become hesitant. They wouldn't want, to even give you further information. People would react differently. So you get to understand because you meet different people.
I think people need to know the role of journalists.
Yes.
But they act like you're also, an aggressor. They're there, madam, this and that. But anyway, I think that matter needs to be investigated, Miriam. Because if you're an area councillor, how can you be a contractor in the same place, It means, first of all,
it means that you had certain benefits that you...
Abuse of office,
of office that you alleged benefited. So anyway, the matter indeed, like you said, needs to be investigated, and we hope that the Ministry of Local Government, the one who permitted them to be on that site in the first place, should ensure that they look into the issue. Was this contract obtained legally? Okay, for him to first of all
that place no one is supposed to build there.
Exactly. That's the more was he given a contract? Was this land, the document, the permission, were they permitted? So these are the questions that need to be investigated. Otherwise, the way it was coming out, it would just... Anyway, I leave it there, Zippo. But we hope that you do investigate as you carry on the story.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. We'll follow it up, maybe even with the relevant authorities like Anti-Corruption Commission, as well as the Ministry of Local Government, to see how it goes on.
Exactly.
Moving on, Miriam, we did see a story yesterday where you covered the Worldwide Fund for Nature. Yeah, and I think they're raising some important concerns. They're saying for a long time, climate change has seemed like a song, or maybe someone just has an agenda there, maybe to get some funding.
Yeah.
But now we're seeing its effects. For example, Cyclone Freddy
in Malawi. We did even experience in some parts of the country here in
Zambia,
Zambia.
Lundazi, yeah. But now we're seeing it. When someone says climate change, it's like maybe just an essay. What are the effects?
It's a song.
Yeah. But when you see it in real life, then it carries, a strong message. So they're saying, look, this is what we've been talking about all this time. Now it's affecting us. Going forward, how do you ensure food security? How do you protect future generations? So those are some of the conversations they want government and, stakeholders in the private sector to discuss.
The selling of charcoal has also contributed, because every time a lot of trees are being cut down, and we are not planting more trees, to replace those trees which are being cut down. So we saw, calling for another alternative apart from charcoal, to reduce, in order to avoid this vice. Yeah. So anyway, we hope that in the near future, Zipporah, a lot of people will be educated about this climate change, and I hope that we can do this advocacy, more advocacy in schools, so that pupils as they are growing up, as they are learning in schools, they're able to understand what exactly climate change is, apart from seeing people coming, NGOs, coming, no, climate change here, but it should be a daily thing that people should start learning so that they understand exactly what climate change is. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Quite interesting. Let's just take a look at that story.
Climate change stands as a direct threat to Zambia's goal of becoming a prosperous middle-income country by 2030, as floods arising from this have continued to leave people homeless while destroying their agricultural produce, hence deepening poverty levels in the country. The country has in the recent years experienced drought and floods in selected parts of the country, with major consequences such as roads and bridges being washed away, hence cutting off people from key economic activities, with some farmers failing to take their produce to various markets. Countries such as Malawi are currently in distress as the country is battling Cyclone Freddy, which is one of the effects of climate change, which has resulted in thousands being displaced and hundreds dying, while others have been declared missing. Commenting on the prevailing situation, the Worldwide Fund for Nature, WWF Zambia, says urgent action is needed before chaos breaks out on the planet. WWF Chief Conservation Officer Moses Nyerenda read the speech on behalf of the country director Nachilala Nkombo during the commemoration of Earth Hour Saturday evening.
The western part of the country was devastated, or has been devastated, by a heat wave that lasted the whole of February. When in Lusaka were experiencing very high rains, the western province had no rains at all. There was only 1 day of rain, and they experienced temperatures ranging from 30 to 39 degrees. So as we speak, the yields or crops in Western Province have been seriously compromised. That is an extreme effect of the Cyclone Freddy.
Meanwhile, adding his voice to the topic, WWF Board Chairperson Elias Chipemo says charcoal burning has continued to be a threat to climate change, while no permanent solution is being put in place to phase out this vice.
And I want to call each one of us to action. Not a big grand action, just something simple that you can do every single day to contribute to preserving and protecting the earth that we all live upon and that we depend on.
Speaking at the same event, Minister of Energy Director Arnold Smwamba, who read the speech on behalf of Energy Minister Peter Kapala, called on stakeholders to suggest policies aimed at enhancing the fight against climate change to the government.
As a listening government, I'm sure we all know the current government is listening to you. We, as the Minister of Energy, we are on top of things, making sure that, we give information to each and every person who is there using energy. Now, here we are. I know you have come in your own personal capacity. I know you have got friends. The good message that you have gotten from here, let's make sure that we share with our friends who have not made it to come here.
Earth Hour is commemorated every last Saturday of March from 20:30 to 21:30 with an aim of switching off all lights as a sign of commitment to the planet. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News. With a few days remaining till the people of Serenge, Chilila Wombwe and Lupo Sonji district elects their preferred candidates in the forthcoming local government by-elections, every political party is confident of carrying the day at the end of it all. The Electoral Commission of Zambia set the 20th of April 2023 as date for local government by-election in Muchinda Ward of Serenge Town Council in Central Province, Chitumukulu Ward of Chilila Wombwe Town Council on the Copper Belt Province, and Katilie Ward of Lupo Sonji in Northern Province. In Serenge, the by-elections were occasioned by the resignation of Patriotic Front Councillor Doris Aikona, who was also the Vice Council Chairperson for Serenge. The ruling UPND is confident of emerging victorious, adding that the candidates adopted by the party understand the party's manifesto of transforming and improving the lives of people. The party, through its youth deputy spokesperson Phineas Pumulo, has urged all political parties participating in this by-election to exercise peaceful campaigns.
We don't expect to lose any by-election this time around, because in this shortest period that we have been in government, we have scored a lot. The people of Zambia have seen unprecedented development in our country, something that has never been seen before. The development that we have brought in our country is very much immense. The only thing that I want to appeal to electorate in these wards which are having by-elections, it is to make sure that they have campaign-free elections, because we as a country, we are now above the politics of hooliganism or the violence. We want to continue to see peaceful elections going forward.
Meanwhile, Mr. Pumula has warned some unnamed businessmen to desist from sponsoring the opposition to bring confusion in the UPND.
We want to appeal to our colleagues in Patriotic Front to heal, and then let's develop the country together. We must be partners in development. This issue of wanting to sabotage the government in this way, it is very sad. We have seen a statement which was issued by Honorable Monia Zul, which is uncalled for, because they knew that we were going to have the delegations from World Bank. So that one was a calculated move to make sure that they point out the key ministers that they are alleged involving in corruption, which is something which is uncalled for. As a party, we want once more to appeal to all well-meaning Zambians to make sure that we partner and develop the country together, because this country can only develop by us as Zambians. We should know that what time to do politics and what time to talk on the issues. But our colleagues, it seems that they want to be talking politics each time, every time they want to be talking politics. But as a party, UPND, we know that we're in government, and we know what the people of Zambia expect from us. We made promises.
Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News. Quite interesting. Those are two stories that we did over the weekend. One talking about climate effect, and the other talking about by-elections which are set to take place on the 20th of April 2023 in Serenge, Chilila Wombwe and Lupo Sonji. Quite interesting there. And also just looking at the first story that we played on climate effect, it's quite a concern that, you know, like I said earlier on before we went playing into those stories, that there is need for more sensitization, more advocacy. It should need to start in schools. Yeah.
And definitely, that's quite a good idea. In the school curriculum, we need to ensure, you know, climate issues. Because I remember when I was in primary school, it was more like a club, you know, where you just learn about environmental issues. It was not really in the curriculum. But I think that should be prioritized, like you said. And really another issue is that, you know, climate change, I feel like the message has been sent out in a way which the local people can't understand. I feel like it's more like in a technical language.
Technical language,
yeah. And when they're addressing these issues, I feel like they mostly focus on journalists or their other fellow stakeholders. What about the person at local level, that are not cutting the tree?
Yeah, exactly. They need to understand, because if you're going to say we are banning you from cutting down trees and doing your charcoal things, because of climate change, you need to explain how exactly this is impacting, this has effect on our environment as well as the country at large. But then you will find, just like you have said, you'll find that, you know, because of climate change, but you get to ask that person, what do you understand by climate change? They won't give you a reasonable, you know, answer or response. So it's quite serious that in as much as we are going to say no climate change, we need to put more emphasis, advocacy, so that the people at the local level are able to understand. Go to Kanyama this time around, or Mississippi, randomly pick someone, ask them, what do you understand about climate change? They won't be able to, you know, give you a good response.
Yeah, definitely. And I think also need to carry out that message, you know, in local languages. And musicians, apart from singing about beer and whatever, I'm saying about climate change, you know. Quite interesting. Anyway, we transition just now into our first interview, and we're going to be discussing various national affairs with the UPND Deputy Youth Chairperson Trevor Mwinde. But as we await the guests just to come in, let's just take a look at some of the trending issues on the political scene. And among them is the Democracy Summit, slated for Thursday. Is it Wednesday, Thursday? Yeah. Wednesday and Thursday. That time we used to say, you know, the dates, but now we can say the days because it's quite near. Yeah. They're slated for Wednesday and Thursday this week. So what are your thoughts on the Democracy Summit? We open up our phone lines, so we'll be discussing the Democracy Summit among other national affairs. And so on Saturday, Miriam, we saw the Leadership Movement Party, who actually indicated that the president should take advantage of the summit, you know, to make a public declaration, you know, to the United States of America, saying we do not support gay rights. So that's the challenge that has been thrown out there. But
I think the president has been on record on various occasions.
They're saying, of course, to Zambians, but
on record. He has put it on record.
They want in the summit.
Wow.
They want like to prove a point, you know, saying we do not support this. But I know other countries like Uganda, you know, have actually increased the sentences, you know, for even just when you're advocating, you can get as much as 10 years in prison, just advocating or associating as part of the LGBTQ plus community. So they want those kind of laws here in Zambia.
And we do have strong laws which, you know, prohibit such acts. Once you are found that, you'll be in prison, you'll be jailed, you'll be sent to prison. But we have seen, you know, the vice president, the president himself, you know, on several occasions, the ruling party itself with its various stakeholders on several occasions condemning and saying us as the people in the governing at the moment do not support such things. So we don't know where the Leadership Movement Party was getting that from. That
no, they want it in the summit, like, you know, the US is there, Costa Rica and many other countries. Then the president says, for us, we're not going to accept. And of course, the Leadership Movement also was saying we do not want, you know, verbal condemnation. They want to see people jailed. Like we saw, is it a couple was jailed for 15 years during the PF? Yeah, that's what they want, really. And maybe just being a court reporter, maybe you can just clarify for us this. Last week, I saw a story where I read that the Sister Foundation,
yes, they were supposed to appear in court, but apparently, so when someone appears in court for the first time, there's that charge sheet. Their document should be in court. Apparently, their documents were not in court on that particular day. So they were given another date on which they are required to appear before court. So it's a normal thing. It happens to everyone. You can find that you appear today, but your documents are not in court at that time. Some cases need consent from the Director of Public Prosecution. So you might find that you appear in court and then the Director of Public Prosecution has not yet issued consent for your matter to be prosecuted, so you wait for that consent. It's more like a certificate of the DPP saying, go ahead, you can now prosecute that person. Yeah.
Because I heard a lot of talk saying,
I saw that.
As if we are playing games, exactly, more like, oh, of course we knew.
It's a normal thing. I remember the time, that was some time back when the former Minister of Community Development, Madam Emily Kabachi, appeared before court. On the first time she appeared before court, even just recently when Dr. Chilfia was again arrested, Chitalu Chilfia was arrested. When the first day he appeared before court, his documents were not before court, and he was told you need to appear on another day. So it's a normal thing. It happens most of the time. Yeah.
Anyway, it seems you have clarified because there were some rumors flying, but we've heard the clarity. That's why it's important as journalists, because we always bring you verified facts. But anyway, let's just take a look at that story on expectations of the leadership movement from the Democracy Summit.
So we want the new Dawn government to take advantage of this and clearly state the position of Zambia. We are a sovereign state, we have morals, we have a culture, and above all, we are a Christian nation, and we will not accept any foreign or taboos to be introduced in our society. So for the new Dawn government, this is an opportunity to clearly state the position of Zambia regarding the LGBT. We have morals, so we want to urge them as they go participate in this summit, make things clear so that we can bury these issues once and for all.
Now, we cannot go that route where we neglect production. This is where we always have problems with the new Dawn. The disease they are suffering from is prioritization, because you cannot put the exportation of your energy to the neighboring countries as a priority. You want it to compete with the mining. Meanwhile, the agriculture sector, where you need to take care of your farmers who are supposed to be encouraged to tap power in these farms so that they go into full throttle irrigation. The winter maize, for example, they need plenty of your energy. Now, when you go the route of just money first, you neglect the production where we need this energy to be given. This is why we are saying the route to go, it is that where you have to understand that you have the uranium in your country. The uranium, the Chinese, they have gone that route. They are going the nuclear power. You talk of the Americans. You talk of, in Africa, we have Egypt, where the Russians are building right now as we are talking.
Quite interesting there. So that is the leadership movement, and it actually participated in the 2021, general elections. And so, Miriam, I don't know, in Zambia, it's like we just have the PF and UPND, according to people, but we have many other political parties which should also be given a platform to air their views. We see what kind of, solutions that they have to the country's problems.
But as the media, we have tried by all means to ensure that each and every political party in the country is given a platform to air out their view. But now the question remains to the political party themselves: what kind of checks and balances are they offering to the current administration? Because we have seen, on several occasions, we have seen others, just only issuing out insults. What will that, help the current administration, change certain things? You can't. So you get to, you get to analyze and, just question the caliber of certain opposition politicians. That why, instead of offering meaningful checks and balances, they're insulting the current administration or insulting the former the previous administration. But this is not what we want to see. We want to see when opposition politicians are given a platform to issue checks and balances to the current administration, should be meaningful and something that will develop the country at some point. And I'm glad that the leadership, I must say they're doing quite okay in making sure that they offer the meaningful checks and balance to the current administration's power. They would, suggest most of the time they would always go back to their manifesto of saying, as Zambia, we need to talk about production if we are going to develop as a country. Without production, you can't develop. So I love the fact that they're giving out these suggestions to the current administration, of which I think they should be utilizing them as they develop this country. Quite interesting to them. Yeah.
Yeah, quite interesting. And earlier, and talking of the Democracy Summit, Miriam, we've heard people calling for peace. as people campaign for the upcoming by-elections in the, various wards. We are going to hold elections on councillor ward by-elections on 20th April. And really, this has been emphasized because, they are saying we should portray this peaceful image, of Zambia. Imagine on Wednesday and Thursday, they were having democracy summit because Zambia has been chosen as one of the most democratic countries. And then you find that people are beating each other up. You find on the news there's blood. Imagine how contrary that will be. But anyway, I also did speak to the contestants themselves from the leadership movement, from the Socialist Party, the PF, and the UPN in the wards. And they also had, a message of development, and they're saying that is what is actually needed. We should sell messages of development. So let's just take a look at that story on ward by-elections. While political tension between the major political parties in Zambia, namely the Patriotic Front, PF, and the United Party for National Development, UPND, seem to have died down after the 2021 general elections, concerns of a potential collision have risen in the country after the two parties collided on the Copperbelt province on Youth Day and have since taken to various media platforms, issuing threats against each other. With the upcoming councillor ward by-elections in 3 provinces, namely on the Copperbelt, in Central Province, and Northern Province, concerns of peace have risen. The by-elections are set to be held in Muchinda ward of Serenje Town Council, Chitimukulu ward of Chililabombwe Town Council, and Katilia ward of Lupososhi Town Council, and are being contested by the ruling UPND, the PF, the Leadership Movement Party, the Socialist Party, and the Economic Front. Speaking in Muchinda ward of Serenje District during nomination day, UPND Secretary General Batuke Imenda has re-echoed calls for peace.
To all the parties that are participating, please let us maintain peace. We are one and the same people. These boys and girls that are gathered here come from the same villages. The election will come and go, but these people will remain. So do not want to create enmity amongst the young ones who are here. After all, whatever we are doing it for and on their behalf.
Meanwhile, Muchinda ward candidates from the UPND, PF, and the Socialist Party have expressed confidence in scooping the seats.
People have realized that there is we cannot develop this community when we are in the opposition. So people want to change. No wonder they've even from the supporters, you can see that people have come in numbers to support us. Yes, the support is so nice.
My expectation was that I thought maybe there will be conflict during my nomination, but God has helped me.
Amalalo, Ifatala, Emisebo, Ifindu, Shadimo Tristi, Tafia Winum Munchen. My presence here, Mokrafa economic posting.
Residents of Muchinda ward in Serenje district have also called for peace, stating that the focus of candidates should be on telling messages of how they plan to promote development at local level.
Chilangiro cha kubalira pocho ningalanda ine kuno kunchende kumyeso turefuaisha sana malaiti. Bantu walikuwa ta secondary school hapa. Mulirima secondary school na mulirima primary school. Pota pa ba malaiti. Lero di school likala mbalire fuai kwa malaiti. Kumusebo kula ku roadside kwa leba business ya kusana. Lero business imbita ile endo mlando wa okwa bula malaiti.
Therefore, abatukusheko chipatala chense chibe hospital. Antushira bombela abantu abengi sana. Nomba mabed tamwaba na mattress tamwaba. Na mablanket.
So inende kwa kufi fertilizer mon fertilizer mon twapuke fertilizer ibili fertilizer. Kwa fertilizer bane bondi mulimi na nyefama. Na kulira mwaka unda. Mtu wako limu makaunda fertilizer yale kwa 16 8 fidafi na mwa fertilizer no makala ichepe.
The by-elections have come about after deaths and resignations from councillors from the UPND and PF in the 3 wards and are slated for 20th April 2023. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News.
Quite interesting there. We hope that, once one is elected in those respected wards, they bring the much needed developments that the people are requesting and waiting for. Indeed, we have seen messages of development being put across as they continue to campaign. Quite interesting. Serenje, Chidira Bombwe and Luposonchi will be holding their local government by-election on the 20th of April 2023, and we hope that, at the end of the day, we know in as much as there is one winner, at the end of the day, all we want is development. We want to see development in those constituencies, in those wards, in short.
Yeah, and really that's one thing that we want to see, like under the current administration, where we see even rural areas develop, because people like saying, okay, development is only Lusaka and Copper Belt. You have to be from Lusaka or you have to be from the Copper Belt. Everything else, is in a dilapidated state. But if we're to reach our goal of becoming a prosperous middle-income country, we have to make sure that every area, like people do not even have to come to the urban area just for them to get what they want. They should be able to access social amenities, jobs, wherever they are, regardless. But anyway, Miriam, as we get ready to transition into our interview, let's just take a look at a story from the Patriotic Front on Friday. In the usual style of conducting checks and balances, on Friday, 24th March, the Patriotic Front held a press briefing and, said a lot of other things. So let's just take a look at that story.
Despite having been behind the contracting of unsustainable debt levels for the country, the Patriotic Front members of Parliament have wondered why the current administration has failed to reach the debt restructuring process despite having clinched the International Monetary Fund IMF program and enacting all the harsh conditionalities on the Zambian people attached to the program. Speaking at a media briefing in Lusaka Friday, Patriotic Front Chinsali Member of Parliament Kalolwe Mukosa has since asked the government to consider reintroducing back subsidies in the fuel sector in order to relieve the Zambian people from the huge burden that have come with the high fuel prices.
What is interesting is that despite us having started experiencing the pain of this debt restructuring process, we have reached a stalemate. And there is no meaningful explanation as to why the debt restructuring process hasn't reached the logical conclusion. If the March ends and they fail to conclude this process, we are appealing to the government that maybe we should go back to the situation where we were, where we can provide subsidies.
Other opposition leaders have raised concerns on the current state of maize, which is Zambia's staple food, adding that they have come across information that the high prices of mealie meal currently prevailing on the Zambian market is as a result of not having enough maize in the country.
Is it that the minister is telling the nation? At one point he's saying we have enough stocks of maize to feed the nation. On the other hand, people have started queuing for mealie meal. So really, this government is not being sincere by not being truthful.
The rising cost of basic essential commodities for the survival of our people is getting to alarming stages and requires some immediate intervention. We have seen, the growth of the bulk of our people, getting physically weak and others falling ill because of lack of access to basic nutrition.
And Lukasha, Member of Parliament George Chisanga, says the current President Hakainde Hichilema is undermining the fight against corruption and has called for a national indaba in which all stakeholders will be allowed to come on board and discuss democratic matters.
I think the time has now come for this country to take these instances of caste violence head on. And in order for us to achieve the desired goal, we want to make an earnest call to the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security to maybe organize an endeavor for the nation to bring stakeholders beyond the police themselves, because the police are not able to manage these violent activities.
You ignoring our people whose money won't be the same by the time you'll be paying them. If there are those that didn't supply, those that didn't perform, we say take appropriate action, but don't punish those who genuinely provide the service to government.
And leader of the opposition in Parliament, Brian Mondobile, has urged President Hakainde Hichilema to stop shielding ministers being named in corrupt practices, but allow investigative wings in the country to do their jobs without interferences.
We want the Anti-Corruption Commission to treat the information that came from Comrade Fube and Munia Zulu as a raw material
let them use that let them use that information to investigate.
Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
While many have described the recent move by the Zambia police in Central Province of arresting 8 people in connection with the illegal transfer of Sugilite stone from Lapula Province, among them key government officials, as an indicator of the current administration's commitment to fighting illegal activities, former Mufumbe Member of Parliament Stephen Masumba says the arrest is not enough. Addressing selected members of the media Thursday, Mr. Masumba has advised that those named in the scandal should be suspended and put on half salary in the meantime to allow the law to take its full course without obstruction. This is in a case where Lapula Province Deputy Permanent Secretary Roy Mwansa, Mchelenge District Commissioner Msonda Mutepuka, and Mwasabombo District Commissioner Moton Sikazwe, as well as some police officers who are offering escort to the Sino truck carrying the mineral from Wombe mine, have been arrested for illegally transferring the said mineral valued at 30 million United States dollars, which was disguised as manganese.
We don't want to have a perception that should insinuate or suggest that, look, because they were still holding on to these positions, so there was some undue influence, and so that is why they've been acquitted, and so on. It is a well-known fact that according to the rules of natural justice, a person is presumed innocent until proven guilty. So at the end of the day, these people, even if they've been arrested, they will still have an opportunity to be tried before the court of law. And while they're being tried before the court of law, it is either they are convicted, it is either they are found guilty, and if they are not found guilty, it is either now they are left free. And it will be at that point that I would say now the president, if they are left free, then the president can still find room to reappoint them back to their substantive positions, or maybe redeploy them elsewhere.
Mr. Masumba further states that this is a wake-up call on the state of many mines across the country which have not yet been operationalized due to various court procedures, giving room to criminals as the minerals are lying idle. He has urged Minister of Mines and Minerals Paul Kabuswe to step in and ensure that these matters are quickly resolved outside court, to also see locals benefiting from employment.
Mr. Minister, can you enforce and ensure that all these outstanding issues, which also includes Sika Sensedi mine in Mwenilunga, we also need it, as like yesterday, we need it to come back on board, so that once that mine is operational, to me at the end of the day, it is going to create employment opportunities to the people of Northwestern Province, and not only to the people of Northwestern Province, to the nation as a whole. People will be employed there. And also it will also contribute enormously to the national treasury, and I mean it will help also government to ensure that it meets certain demands that are regards to issues of providing healthy amenities, infrastructure development.
Meanwhile, Mr. Masumba has also emphasized the need for Mufumbe to be quickly recognized as the capital of Northwestern Province, stating that this was collectively agreed upon by chiefs within the province in 2012, noting that the district is also more central than Solwezi. He explains that doing this will help in decongesting Solwezi while allowing it to operate as an economic hub. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka. Thank you for staying tuned in. Just now we've been joined by Mr. Trevor Mwinde, UPND National Deputy Youth Chairperson, to help us discuss various issues in the political scene. Welcome to the show, Mr. Mwinde.
I'm very grateful, Madam Zipporah.
We're glad to have you on set this morning.
I'm much more humbled, Madam.
And just in the interest of time, I'm sure we have a lot of issues to cover, so I think we just get right into it. Just on Thursday, we did see a story from the UPND youths, or the provincial youths in the 10 provinces. So they did convene at the UPND Secretariat, and among other things, they were demanding for the removal of the ZNBC Director General Breri Luando on the basis that he actually stood, or actually applied to stand as Chembe MP on the PF ticket in 2016 and 2021. So should that be a basis for removal? And in the same line, we did see a comment from one of our viewers who actually commented on that issue, saying, as a youth leader, is it allowed for your youth to dictate who should be DG at ZNBC? Where is the separation of the party and government? Will there be any action from them? So this is from Mr. Chipego Wembia, who is actually directing that question on you. Maybe what is your take on the whole issue?
First of all, before I come to tackle that issue, as you can see, I'm clad in a black suit, and I want to share my sincere condolences to the Maho family, where the president went to mourn yesterday in morning. That man used to be my lecturer at China College of Health Sciences. Yes, and I convey my heartfelt condolences to the deceased family and their friends at large. My comrades and colleagues who are with also that are also mourning and passing through this trying moment. Then when we want to dissect the matter that which you have brought, on the need to change the Director General at ZNBC, well, a lot has gone amiss, just as you have also alluded to my news chairman. If indeed what you are saying is the state of affairs, a lot has gone amiss. The Director General at ZNBC is cited through a board, and I do believe and hope that that board indeed also did its prudent, and it did its best in finding how best they can choose a candidate for that portfolio. For me, I think I have strived in most of these activities using the private media. Zambia National Broadcasting Corporation is not only for political mileage, and is not a small institution. It's supposed to be the zenith or the pinnacle of media broadcasting in the country, offering the maximum leadership. So a person who has some biasness, and a person who has got some degree of partiality may not be in the position to spur that institution to the levels of highest expectations. So the youths may be interested. The youths could be interested to push the agenda to the best interest of the Zambian people. And I think they are the connector to the grassroots. So for me, as a Deputy National Youth Chairperson, I have no reason as to why I may be able to disagree or oppose what the youths feel is right.
Anyway, let's just take a look at that same story that we did on National Affairs with the UPND youths last week. These are United Party for National Development, UPND provincial youth chairpersons from all 10 provinces around the country who are angered by the bold appearances of several Patriotic Front PF members and officials on various media platforms, calling the UPND names and saying they have failed, stating that many of these should instead be behind bars for atrocities committed when the PF was in office. Addressing the media in Lusaka Thursday, UPND Lusaka Province Youth Chairperson Anderson Banda says many UPND members are today living with bullets in their bodies, and yet nothing has been done on these reports, while the perpetrators regroup and taunt the UPND. He has therefore called on Inspector General of Police Lemi Kajoba to ensure that those who committed crimes under the PF are brought to book.
To urge the police, High Command, that you have noted with worries that criminals are now regrouping. Criminals are now getting courage. They want to come back and continue on the path of destruction, on the path of criminality, of practicing dead politics, politics of violence, politics of hate, politics of tribalism. These criminals are regrouping. We urge the Inspector General of Police, please take it upon yourself. Make sure that all the dockets that Zambian people brought to your stations are revived, are retrieved, and make sure that these criminals are answerable before the courts of law. If you don't do that, don't blame any UPND youth who would want to bring sanity on your behalf as police if you fail.
Meanwhile, commenting on the appointment of Zambia National Broadcasting Corporation Director General Barry Lwando, UPND Northwestern Province Chairperson Bruce Kanema says UPND youths have rejected the new appointee as he is a well-known PF cadre, stating that he even attempted to stand as Chembe MP on the PF ticket in 2016 and 2021, calling for the appointment of a non-politically inclined individual.
We do not want to betray you, Zambians, because you did a tremendous job by removing criminals from government. Now we don't want to see again criminals back in some institutions. Never. I have said never. And that director is going back. But if people want him, let him go where he contested and become a member of parliament there, and not at ZNBC. A ZNBC, that institution, is non-partisan. So we don't want cadres at ZNBC. No. It is a key institution.
Other speakers, namely UPND Northern Province Youth Chairperson Paul Mulenga and UPND Eastern Province Chairperson Lyson Nyerenda, have urged the Zambia police to act on alleged tribalist members of the PF, among them Tishimba Kambwili and others, on their alleged habit of issuing tribal remarks.
We are saying no to that because once ever you feature Johnson, you fought for this. We are busy looking for peace, and we have peace. We want to go back again. We go back to GBM. We go back to Munduvire. We go back to Shimbagambui. Abantu bashaka tefya kuchita. Abalanda vipa mitundu. What mitundu esibatora kuntaji. What we want is development. Flafi president elected CDF. If one is doing for win one across the nation.
They did their part. Now it is the time of President Hakainde Hichilema. He's been in government for 1 year and some months. They should not play with the freedom that he has given them. Because one day, I am saying one day, this freedom they are playing around with, it will turn against them. We haven't forgotten what they did to us. We are looked up several times, some of us more than the president himself, 17 times. But it doesn't mean when you don't want the president said, no, don't pay back, then it's a weakness. No, kutumpo.
They have called for their demands to be heard, failure to which they say they will take matters into their own hands. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Thank you so much for still staying tuned to the Camnet TV Breakfast Show. In studio, we are joined by UPND Deputy National Youth Chairperson Trevor Mwinde, who is helping us discuss various national issues happening in our countries. Earlier on, before we went on a break, we were playing that story where some UPND youths were complaining on various issues. One of them was with regard to the current ZNBC DG, the appointment of the current ZNBC DG. Just to add your thought on that, your reaction on that, seeing that your youths, were complaining that, back when she used to do, she was in engagement with a former, he was with a former administration, and currently they have been appointed. But should we base our appointment just because someone has been doing business with a former or was in engagement with a former administration?
Looking at the former administration, we had a lot of people that called themselves leaders, and based on their constitution of their party and their manifesto of how they wanted to drive these affairs of Zambia, they did indicate that almost all government departments, head of departments, were supposed to be Patriotic Front people. And looking at the people that were shortlisted for those particular interviews, you would find that there were people also who had a lot of ethics and who were very neutral. People who could be in the position to push the agenda for ZNBC to be a competitive broadcasting entity. Unfortunately, we have missed an opportunity as a country. If you hear those youths give those submissions, it means that something has really gone amiss. I don't know that person personally, and to criticize or talk negatives in volumes about a person you don't know is like writing in the air. So as far as I'm concerned, I would believe the story side which I've been told. And I also believe that ZNBC board has got much that which it can do. I'm here to also not to advocate for anybody, but to speak the truth. We have people who applied for those similar jobs, who were humiliated during the Patriotic Front days. I'll give you one example. There was a person by the name of Martin Maseka. He applied as Director of Programs at ZNBC. This person was suspended. This person was even told by then Information Minister Chimba Kambwili, and then whenever you PNDinga Maisa take from Karachitani 15. So now we are surprised that the people that suffered with the institution, that which is now in leadership of the country, and those that are also relevantly qualified, they have been denied an opportunity to address or be in the position to also inspire. Because we are in these leadership positions, Madam Kaimba, not only for entertainment, but we are here, Madam Zipora, to also create an enabling environment for you guys so that we can work together. We have had a very vicious narrative where people were even afraid to also invest properly in Zambia, where people's lives were lost mysteriously. Not only Zambians, we had even Chinese investors, people that were being threatened, people that were being taken to court, people that were fighting battles unnecessarily, unlike concentrating on making sure that the development agenda is pushed to another level. So for the appointment, I think the leadership of the country is listening, and the leadership also has given delegated authority at an opportune time. This is why you have also seen at ZNBC, we still have people in the departments of news that still believe, in as much as there has been a relaxation of the rules and regulations, we have all seen a situation or a scenario where people want to even give news that which they will start apologizing later on, which is uncalled for and unethical in your industry, I believe. You have been on point. We have not seen Camnet TV air stories, Madam Zipora, Madam Kaimba here. We have seen you give very much stories, whether private or public centered stories, but you have never come back and said, oh no, sorry, we didn't mean to say this, but we meant to say this. That means that you stand for what is right, and the time has come. Let's not only look at the CV. If you're going to be swayed by looking at the heavy CV of a person, these people, if they were politically inclined, there is no way that they can also be found serving in a neutral environment. It means that even that institution, it will also be demonized. It means that the narratives of the likes of Given Rubinda, they will be justified to say, no, not what I want to do. We have our people in these institutions, and not only that, it means that the work culture, the morale in the institution will dwindle. And for this reason, we have seen many people start banning the evidence, because the same people that are supposed to be incriminated, the same people that are supposed to be reported, unfortunately, are the same people that are being given positions of influence and immunity, such that the people that had the evidence, they are now also running and hiding for their lives. So meaning the system now, the governance system, even if it has got no emotions, but it will lack its proper grassroots connections that which will give it evidence. Every other person is looking to grow. So we cannot rely on the CVs. There was no enabling environment to create experience for you to be the DG for ZNBC or for her. There was no enabling environment. There was no proper selection based on qualification. Why didn't the PF offer that job to that particular individual? That's the biggest question, the $1 million question which the board needed to also think through. The person who is PF inclined, the person who also stood on a PF ticket or applied, stand on a PF ticket, and then he's given the Director Generalship at ZNBC. It's really a matter that which needs a lot of processing, and it's a wake-up call to most of these boards across the country that are running government departments, making sure that they do what is right for this country, Zambia, because otherwise we are creating monsters that we will start running in all directions, or even creating spies that will be able to undermine the existing authority.
Now, just to bring you up to speed on what has been happening on the ground, we saw last week, a gospel musician, Kings Malembe, complaining about the unfair treatment of the current administration, alleging that those who were once believed to be PF inclined are not given, contracts, are not being paid.
Okay, first of all, Zambia is a Christian country, and from where we are coming from, every other Zambian, including yourself and the viewers out there, they know that Kings Malembe, he was called the son of the house to ECL. And Kings Malembe, he's the one who even was like to be the master of ceremony on the grand inauguration of ECL in Hilos Stadium. Those were the people that were singing songs for the PF, and those were the people that were stage managing affairs of the Patriotic Front under the guise of Christians for ECL. So, and you are also very aware that, just as I mentioned earlier on, to say Zambia is a Christian nation. That being the case, it means that anybody who gives a false accusation against the country is not a child of God and is working in the opposite. Now I start to believe what Siawan was talking about, Kings Malembe. Yes, now I believe that there is no smoke without a fire. These are self-centered individuals, and these are people that have got no moral compass to dictate or even say anything on the national affairs. Look at me, Madam Kayemba, Madam Zipora. We have walked a long narrative, and many Zambians out there know. We were supposed to have this interview yesterday. We said, no, look, I'm at the farms. We didn't say, no, we are here in Nkwazi Road trying to cook peppers. We know where these peppers are cooked. We know where these fake contracts can be written. We know we have grown in the streets of Lusaka. But we have not forged any document. We have not pushed any agenda that which is too personal. When it comes to personal issues, we withdraw. We go to our holidays in the farms and look after goats and pigs, and then come and carry an interaction that which is health for society and the country. We are not in the mines, in the queues. We know the government has put in people that are supposed to be presiding over the issues of who gets what and what particular time, and what are the attributes and what are the needs of that particular contract or job description or whatever it may be, your contract. But unfortunately, Kings Malembe is also crying to wrong people. He's crying to wrong people because with that level of arrogance and that level of spirit, spirited fight against the system. The UPND did not, the UPND New Dawn government did not sanction a contract to supply uniforms at 10,000 kwacha per pair. And if only I were him, I would have actually been quiet. Because now he has opened the Pandora box to realize that the contract which he's crying for was also irregularly priced. And due to his rantings, it has now to also be reviewed to check how much he was paid and how much is remaining. It's all baseless to try and put the supply and procurement processes to tribal affiliation. I do believe that we have our relatives in certain positions that which are of procurement in nature. But that does not qualify that I can go with my face and my NRC and my driver's license and say, give me a job, and then I'm given a job, a contract written in the sand, on the ground. No. So we want to believe that Kings Marembe should be able to carry his head right in society. We gave him space. I witnessed an event, Madam, just for the sake of the listeners and the viewers. I witnessed an event on the Copper Belt once, late last year. He was playing pool near a place called Matebeto, near Mkuamo. The youths on the Copper Belt wanted to lynch him, wanted to beat him. It's me who went and said, no, come on, let him play pool, please, 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 please. I begged on his behalf. We are ambassadors of peace. He knows too well that we are ambassadors of peace. And it is because people are able also to read the ignorance and the levels of illiteracy. There is no one who wants to punish your children, Brother Kings Marembe. Even me seated here, I'm married from the same village where ECL comes from. Yes, and you never heard me open my mouth to go tribal when we never received any contract whatsoever. We are competitive people. We went to school, maybe even better school than him. Yes, so whereby we never opened our mouths carelessly to try and demean the PF administration on the tribal assertions or direction. Because we know and understand that the country is more bigger than me, an individual. And the country can carry on even when I die. So in that process, I'm even very disappointed to find a Christian advocating for his own personal clients when he calls himself a leader in the music industry. That is also exposes how grave the levels of selfishness and greed that which the people that were in the PF and its supporters were. So that aside, we also need to ask the cabinet. We have seen a lot of these tribal sentiments. If His Excellency Alain Ijilema and his cabinet, if this New Dawn administration does not do anything to correct this, this can one day kindle a fire to divide this country. Look at you, Madam Kayemba. If I want to have friendship with you, if I want to accept an invitation to come and do anything official or unofficial, do I need to find out your tribe? Do I? Yes. Do I need to find out, no, first of all, where does she come from? Where does he come from? Who is he? We are retarding our conversation. Zambia has got about 72 ethnic groupings. Other countries like India, they have got about more than 8,000. Okay? Such that you are born, you grow, you will not be able to understand another person's language, maybe until you use a neutral language. Okay? And then you want to bring confusion in a country where opportunities now want to open up for everybody. I think cabinet and parliament, which is the legislature, they need to come up with a law before we zero down into the situation of the 1992 homicide that which happened in Rwanda. The levels of disrespect on other people, ethnic groupings, has also risen in this country. whereby if left unchecked, we can end up dividing this country. There are those politicians who think using their dailies that they can sustain a country. Learn a lesson from His Excellency Againde Ijirema. His Excellency Againde Ijirema says he has not gotten an allowance of his salary ever since he went into State House. Running for political office, Madam Kayemba, is more than just eating. So now we realize that the survival of most of these politicians that are fighting to come back into power, if you are to analyze them properly, you will come to know that these are coming, it's a branch of people that are bad people, bad eggs, that want to push corruption, that want to push killings, and that want to push an agenda other than saving the people of Zambia. And I do believe we heard the narratives from even the godfather to kings, who was saying, no, he would hand over power to himself, he would arrest Againde Ijirema, and he closed a lot of media houses. There was no freedom of expression. Even just to say, no, we'll go for his throat, GPM slept in the cells. Okay, even an idiomatic expression in this country, it would cost you even your life. We are people that walked the journey into Chimbwakaira. When people look at us, they look at us and describe us in all various forms that they may feel good. But what we can say is that we have seen a lot. Our eyes have seen a lot, we have heard a lot, and we have experienced a lot. People have died in this country out of nothing but just because they belong to an opposition political party. We don't want to restrict Kings Malembe in terms of his activities. It's an imbalancement, even to the Mines Minister, Honorable Paul Kabuswe, who at one given time was a guest of honor in his quest to have some concerts across the country. Now, we must now wake up. I want to use this opportunity to also caution cabinet ministers, members, especially colleagues from the National Management Committee, because I don't have the capacity to warn a cabinet minister, but members of the political party UPND from the National Management Committee, that let us be concerned of who we also associate with, in as much as we are duty bound to give service to all Zambians. Let us put aside people that have got selfish ambitions and bring on board people that genuinely need our help. There are people like Kayemba here, Miriam. There are people like Zipporah here. There are people like Bimax there. There are people beyond this studio that are very far and near, who genuinely need services of you ministers, permanent secretaries. Stop embracing these PF people that one day bring your downfall. They will one day sell you out because their games of politics is well designed, and they are decided to making sure that their bellies are ever full. And dealing with a person who always wants to be satisfied without even ever tasting fasting, even when they say they are Christians, is catastrophic.
Quite interesting there. Anyway, but in the same vein, where we've heard these complaints from the PF, what are your projections for 2026 from the youth? Because we've also heard similar complaints from the youth saying, or alleging rather, saying, yeah, you know, the youth, the UPND youth leadership, you know, are benefiting alone from the mines. We've heard all these accusations. What is your take on that? Are these allegations true?
And just to add on that, we did see, Wallace, you were in opposition. You used to, you know, condemn the former administration, the Patriotic Front, of illegally, you know, taking part of illegally mining certain minerals in the country. And then we have seen now your administration being accused of illegally mining Sugilite.
Okay. As a youth leader and as an advocate on the affairs of the youths, for me, I come from a farming background. In as much as I grew up in a mining province, which is not public, that I am not involved in any mining activity that which is happening. in a level where it does not bring disrepute to me as an individual and also the country, because now it's no longer about a political party. And it's not only that